Did I get that right, Pat?
Yes. Good morning.
Good morning.
Yeah, from WRAL and from Londonderry, New Hampshire. So happy to be on with you guys in Boston.
Really appreciate you jumping on. I know it's a busy morning down there. What can you tell us about the latest here with North Carolina and Bill Belichick?
Yeah, I just woke up and I just can't escape the story, as you can imagine. We kind of tied a bow on everything last night. I was in Charlotte, ACC Media Days for basketball, where I only talked about Belichick the entire time, and basketball almost zero. And we had all our reports turned in for the night, and then a statement comes out around 10 o'clock that Bill Belichick is fully committed to the program that he's building at UNC, and Athletics Director Bubba Cunningham, representing the Athletics Department, says they are fully committed to him. So this is now their chance to respond, and I think it's clearly, going to be a choreographed response here to cool the waters. I've received next to no pushback since our story broke on Monday about the details in the story. We've seen national reporters dig in as well and essentially find similar or the same anecdotes and issues that I had found through my reporting, which dates back essentially to Belichick being hired. So yeah, it's a new chapter. This is new territory for me. I'm one guy here at a local TV station taking on arguably the greatest coach of all time. When I say take on, I don't have an agenda. My only thing was that people were telling me these things, and I got enough of it journalistically that I could report it. And that's what I did. And I'm going to continue to do that.
Pat, when it comes to the reports that he was going to be fired or let go, or they were going to part ways, a buyout, however you want to phrase it, before the game against Cal, obviously a bye week this week, then Cal. But after releasing that statement, in my mind, there's no way UNC can now release that and say, wait, no, we actually are going to part ways. Do you think that this is now going to move to maybe an end of the season thing, or do you think Bill doesn't survive the year?
Yeah, so I got to do a couple things, right? There's what I think, and then hopefully there's later today what I know, because I want to reach out to the UNC side internally, because it's been a little bit dark there recently. I did have some extensive conversations right before we published to make clear what was coming out. And again, I wasn't receiving pushback, and I got a stance then from Athletics that they looked at it like, okay, things are not going well. They understood kind of where I was coming from on reporting. But from their standpoint, it's like, well, we made this huge investment. Yes, things clearly are not going well on the field. You can't deny that. And they acknowledge, we hired this guy from the NFL, didn't have college experience. Let's try to support him. We're 5 games in. I think based on my reporting and others, it feels like it might be untenable when you're talking about not even being competitive. Not competitive. They hired him to take the next step. Matt Brown had this team bowl eligible every year, basically, competing near the top of the ACC at times, putting Drake May into the NFL now with the New England Patriots. And now they are statistically one of the 10 worst teams in FBS. Not just the ACC, all of college football. So, again, what is my reporting doing? It's shedding a light onto how and why that's possible. So, to wake up today and act like everything's okay, it's clearly not. But I understand the standpoint of, all right, let's take a breath here. Let's regather. We're not going to fire him 5 games in. Let's see if we can support this and fix this and kind of reset the track here.
Pat, there's a lot of stuff going on with violations. Do you know details to what and how serious those violations could be, or is it just the sideline passes type of situation? Has there been any talk about the seriousness of some of the NCAA violations that they could be facing?
Yeah, we broke the one about the tickets, and players were selling their tickets, and then the Athletic connected that to an assistant coach that was improperly giving out tickets. And I have the exact anecdote of what that coach did, but I didn't have it firmed up enough to report the specifics. But, you know, for another example, like when I got a tip in the spring that things were not going well, I put in a lot of public records requests, and one of those was NCAA violations, and I got one back. And I never reported it because it was so minor that it seemed kind of silly. In hindsight, maybe it wasn't, right? Like, and clearly there's probably, well, I don't want to say clearly. I mean, there seems like reasonable to think that maybe there are more. And I think others have reported that effect. So how serious do they rise to? We're going to find out, right? Because you can get that information. It's a public record. You just have to get it. So they're going to have to reveal that. And I've got a records request in my email. I haven't even opened yet. Like this has been such a whirlwind. So it's happening all in real time. So this is going to be a kind of a crucial pivot day as they push back and reporters continue to dig, myself included.
Hey, Pat, this is the Greg Hill Show. He's not in today, but he sent us a story that he had heard from someone that was an AD that there was a physical altercation in the football locker room this week. Can you shed any light on that? Have you heard that at all?
No, I mean, I would say I broke that, right? Like I reported that yesterday from multiple sources in the locker room. So
what was the physical altercation and who was it with?
I can't say, like, that's one of those things, like with naming names, and I hesitate to name players' names in this unless I've like directly talked to that player. I did reach out to a representative for one of the players that I was told was involved. They didn't comment because this isn't really, these are kids, right? Like when you're covering college, it's a little bit different than the NFL as far as like the standards you hold them to. So unless there's a reason to release the name, then I'm not going to do that. But it's,
well, was it with players or with coaches? So was it player on player or player on coach?
It was a player altercation.
Oh, okay.
Pat, when it comes to the report that there was a player that got hurt and then maybe got his keys taken away and they said go rehab at home and we'll see you next year, can you confirm anything about that?
Yeah, I mean, there's so many anecdotes and details out there right now. Like I have not heard that specific one, but it does align with kind of the way I've heard that Michael Lombardi treats people within the organization and just kind of a really cutthroat approach to NIL valuations, almost an avoidance from talking to people about it. I had the report in there about the Purdue quarterback that came in and the conflict that arose there with him after the spring. I have multiple sources talking about, Max Johnson's NIL situation, which was a little complicated given he was coming off a season-ending injury, and then he wasn't getting paid this season, and then now is playing. So that's probably an ongoing situation there. So there's a lot. It's, what did I report? I reported it's a mess because that's what people are telling me. I think that they underestimated, the undertaking that this was. There was a degree, I would say, of arrogance and hubris in the approach. And, how can you not be humbled by the results that they put on the field? Like, all of this is fine if you win, right? Obviously you got to treat people with human dignity, and to a certain extent, that appears to have not occurred. But, winning cures a lot, and they have not won. They have not even been competitive, and that's where you have people being so upset. Like, if you're going to treat people like this, it can't be these kind of results. Like, in a way, that's like the thesis of it all.
Go ahead, Courtney.
I just think this story is so interesting because not only is it Bill Belichick, so all eyes are on him across the country because of he's the greatest coach of all time, but then you take into account that UNC and the ACC as a conference have such strong connections. I worked for the conference when John Swarford was the commissioner, and his UNC ties run pretty deep. I just think that if you are the ACC right now, you have to be really worried about all of the reports that are coming out when it comes to one of your biggest schools and their head football coach.
Yeah, that's an interesting perspective. We were just at ACC Media Days for basketball, right? And you have some of the conference movers and shakers there, the commissioner among them, and my colleague Brian Murphy, who's helped with a lot of this reporting as well. He had a couple minutes to the side with Phillips, and this, it wasn't entirely on. It hadn't really broken through to him at that time, and I'm sure probably has now. So yeah, it's interesting. They won the off season. Talking about UNC, they have lost the regular season. So mission accomplished as far as getting the ACC and UNC national exposure. But then with that exposure has come being completely exposed as, they have not delivered on, they wanted to be the 33rd NFL team. I mean, they have made themselves one of the worst teams in college football. And that's not just me saying that. That's a statistical fact. If
this ends, Pat, how does it end? Is it they mutually agree to, separate and without buyouts, or does this get ugly between now and then?
Well, we have to rule the possibility that it's sports, and we don't know what's going to happen next, and that they could turn things around, that they could rally around this, that I have to acknowledge a world where, okay, then maybe he really just needs to have he got 70 new players, maybe he needs 105 new players to get the culture right. You know what I mean? Anything is possible in the world of sports. I certainly would not bet on it. So I think right now, when you have UNC coming out in support of him, what they're trying to do is likely pump the brakes a little bit. Let's pause. Let's take a deep breath. We've had a few days to kind of look into these reports and what we're hearing. We suspended a coach. We're trying to fix it. It's 5 games in. We made a massive investment. It's going to take another $20 million to get out of it if that's what we want to do. So let's see if we can help support them. And that's what I heard from the beginning when I told members, inside the athletic department that I was going to publish this, was that their standpoint was well, we want to try to help them. We knew this was an undertaking, so let's try to fix it.
Well, Pat, continued good luck there with the reporting, and man, keep us posted if anything changes. We appreciate you carving out some time for us. I know you're busy down there.
No, thank you. Yeah, it's today's going to be a different tenor. So this is going to be interesting. So yeah, I got to start making some calls and see what we can find out.
All right, Pat Welter, Londonderry, New Hampshire native, down at WRAL in Chapel Hill with the latest on the Belichick and the North Carolina stuff. So, man,